Hello, and welcome to Engineering Mastery Academy's training on 5S. I realized I realized too late that when I structured this course, I put things in sort of the wrong order. I don't want each segment of this just to be something to learn. I want to try to give you something actionable at each step. And by putting project planning at the very end of it, it doesn't give you much actionable to do. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify each session. Instead of being 5 minutes, maybe these would be 7 or 8 minutes. If they're live, which I hope to get live and earlier in the morning, probably by the fourth one, maybe I'll start be able to go live. Right now, my time constraints just make it really difficult. So today, this first training about 5S, I'm going to go over sort. What is sort? Well, okay, sorry, before I even get going with that, what is 5S? 5S stands for sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. It's a process of making sure that an area is neat and orderly. It cuts down on wastes. It can help you improve cycle times. And when done properly, it can help you reduce the footprint of your manufacturing area. And although you might have a lot of resistance from the operators in the beginning, once they get going, most often, at least every time I've seen it, eventually the operators realize that it's a much better way to operate. So the first step in the process is, the first S is sort. What you want to do is you want to sort out all the things that you do not need for those stations. You might have multiple processes that are done on the stations, such as if you have a mixed model line where you're building multiple products on one station. But you want to go through and find out on the manufacturing floor and on individual stations what items actually are not really needed anymore. Some things might be redundant. Maybe you have 5 of one tool when you really only need 1. Other things might be left over from an old product where you no longer need a bench press, for example. That can now be taken away. So what you want to do, first obviously I need to understand your processes. So if you don't have good process documentation in place, you should not attempt 5S yet. I find 5S to be much more enjoyable, much more rewarding in some ways than working on method sheets. But method sheets are more important. And if somebody's pushing you to do 5S and you don't even have proper documentation for your process yet, you really need to push back and say, how can I improve things when I don't really know what we need? When I don't really understand the process yet? So once you get to the point where you are ready to do 5S and you're ready to sort out, the best thing to do is get yourself a packet of tags like these. They're red tags, which is actually called a red tag. It doesn't matter what brand you buy. I'm not trying to sell you on any particular company. If you want some advice, then I can let you know where these came from. These are actually really good tags. They're designed for 5S. And I'll also go through what options there are on here for what material you might want to tag. For example, it says action to take, return to. So if you have equipment that's borrowed from another division, you want to tag this as return it to that division. Or you might want to discard it. That's the second option. The third option, move to red tag holding area, would be for items where you're not really sure what to do with yet. This can be appropriate, especially if you're in a large company. You might have a lot of stuff you really don't know where it came from, where it should go. With a small company, most often you should not have a red tag holding area. You should either be getting rid of something or giving it back to somebody. There might be some things that you need occasionally. Maybe you have to service a product once in a while, a couple times a year, but you don't really need it on the floor all the time. Then you might want to use the move to section. You might need a little storage area in the back where you put these things and get them off the manufacturing floor and make it such that they're easy to wheel out when you do need them. Next one is shred. That obviously would be for paperwork. I've gone through and done this several times, and it's amazing how much paper ends up just scattered around. duplicate printings of method sheets, noted, redline noted drawings, for example. You don't necessarily want to shred all of those. If you're the manufacturing engineer, you most likely want to take those with you, take them back to your desk and review any red lines you have, any notes people have made. Because a lot of times, if you're working with training people using paper notes, they'll make their own mentions of things that aren't clear to them. And by gathering all those up from people who are fully trained, what you can do is you can find ways to improve the method sheets. Recycle, that would be for anything that you're not using to try to improve from, or after you've done improving, obviously you want to recycle it. At that point, you don't need to tag it recycle, you simply put it in the recycle. And then there's a box here for other, and a box for additional comments. So a tag like this, where you can put it on the device, obviously this is for larger equipment typically, but for anything that you want to get rid of, it's good to have something like this where you can write comments on it so people understand why you're getting rid of it, or where it's supposed to go back to, or why you don't know what to do with it, but you don't need it. So I hope this has given you just the definitions of the 5S's are just a few seconds, right? So I wanted to try to give you something actionable. You can go out to your manufacturing floor today and start looking around and say, when was the last time we used that? And maybe you're not even doing a 5S project yet, but you can start cleaning up a little bit by recognizing that this old oscilloscope or whatever isn't being used anymore. And you can go ahead and wheel it out, find out if you don't know where to put it, find out from your boss where to put it, and go ahead and put a red tag on it. And say, you can say what data was removed, etc. Whatever comments are needed. But the most powerful way I've found to do a 5S is to do it as a project, which I'll be going into later. But you don't have to have a project. You don't even have to have tremendous support to get started. All you have to do is be proactive, go out there, see what's not needed, talk to the employees, talk to the people who normally use the material, and find out what's not needed at all, what's only needed occasionally. And so I hope I've given you something that you can get started with for 5S. I'll be going over set and order on the next training. I'll give you some tools and some ideas how you can organize what is needed. Until next time, I'm Brian Wood. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope you've gotten something useful out of this. I will be posting some documentation to go along with the 5S training. I probably won't get to that until about the 4th week because I've got a lot going on. But please, as always, I would appreciate your feedback on this. What you liked, what you don't like, what you found useful, what you would add. Thank you.